that 85% of people who fail the asylum application process, who receive a deportation order, are not deported. And that's an extraordinarily high figure. We also found, for example, that there's about 5,000 people coming through Dublin Airport without a travel document. The vast majority of these people were getting on a plane with a travel document and in transit lost or hid that travel document. We also found out...
This is the reference to those coming in from Georgia who were arriving into Dublin Airport with no documentation whatsoever, even though they had documentation on getting on the flight at the other end, whether it be in London or Paris or Amsterdam.
Sure, exactly. So, you cannot get onto a flight anywhere in Europe at the moment without travel documents, and yet these people were arriving in Ireland from other European cities without a travel document. We also found out again, and this was really frustrating, it took 2 years for the Minister to admit this, that 90% of the people coming to Ireland were coming from Britain, which is a safe country, through the north of Ireland into the south of Ireland. And the Minister wasn't even asking that question of people who are coming to Ireland. So we've had 5 years of chaos in terms of this, and that chaos has meant that we've had to accommodate a large number of people. Interestingly, Minister for Justice figures just in the last couple of weeks have shown that now 80% of people who are applying for asylum are failing their first application. And that's way up on what it was about 4 years ago, which was about 25% of people who were applying for asylum were failing their first application. So either one of two things have happened. Either the system was so lax up until very recently that they weren't testing the asylum application properly, or the government has sent out a message internationally that Ireland is a soft touch, and as a result, many people are coming and using the asylum process who are not asylum seekers, but who are economic migrants.
Okay.
And that has been a result of the government's chaotic policies, and I think that's what's leading to a lot of anger.
Okay.
Another element is...
Yeah, go ahead.
The government, just 1 point, if I can. Another element of this anger is the government is refusing to consult with local communities, and they've deleted the planning process. So if you or I or any of your listeners wanted to build an extension onto the house, they would have to apply for planning. But the government actually deleted planning in terms of accommodation for IPAS applicants, which means that these large, structures that accommodate many, many people can be put up pretty much anywhere, and they don't find resistance, if you like. And the last point, we aim to find out that the government is now spending €1 billion on accommodating people who are coming in through IPAS.
Let me put this point to you. We get texts and emails into this programme, every other day, people very angry that they're on a housing waiting list for 7 and 8 years. They can't get a house. And yet somebody arrives in here, claims asylum, and the state houses them within a matter of days, if not weeks. And this is causing a lot of bad feeling. Have people who have found themselves in that type of situation, do they have a right to be angry?
Now, the information I have in relation to this is that when a person comes in through IPAS, there's a number of different, and it's important to remember, there's a number of different ways that people can come into the country. There's the IPAS system, which is meant to be for people who are fleeing war and violence. It should only be for people who are fleeing war and violence, but we believe that it's been abused at the moment. And there's also people who come in on work visas, who are coming in to work in hospitals, etc. And we believe that frontline workers play a valuable contribution to this country, and as a result, we do need them to make sure that our hospital systems are working.
Let me put this question.
My understanding is that anybody coming in through IPAS is not getting a local authority home. A person coming in through IPAS at the moment is being put into an IPAS accommodation centre. If they are successful in their application, they are then, by law, by this government's law, entitled to apply for housing through the local authority. And then, if there's no local authority homes, they are entitled to get a house by HAP or RAS. Now, my understanding is, and this should be the case, nobody should be able to jump any queues. Nobody should be able to get ahead of anybody else who's on the existing housing list in terms of the local authority, and that's important. So if people have individual cases where they know that that's not the case, I would ask them to
Okay.
contact myself, and we'll make sure that they're investigated.